Hiya! Welcome back to Fika 2.0, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you a simple and relatively easy to put together build. Here is my inspiration. As you can see, it's gonna kind of be a greenhouse slash orchard, and here's a comment from one of my mods, Mariel, saying Fika is flat no more, because I'm making some good progress with the builds on my new island. As most of you know, I flattened my island back in January, and I've not made the fastest progress, given everything that's going on, but I'm pretty happy with where it is so far. So just there you saw me walking around, kind of showing you where this build is going to go. Down here I'm going to put the greenhouse, and then up here I'm going to put an orchard. I've decided that for the rest of my island, I'm only going to use the hardwood trees and the cedar trees, and that this is going to be the only place that you can find fruit trees, because I think that that's going to look really nice. And then here I am just trying to figure out how many trees I can fit in the space that I have, and then I'm like, well, this isn't enough trees, so I have to edit this path right here. And you'll soon see that I actually changed this a couple more times, as I do with most of my builds, because I don't plan any of them out. I just go for it. And it really doesn't work for me. Plan your builds out more, it'll take less time. Okay, so here I am, I'm like, okay, well this is good, I can fit all the different types of trees in this space. I think this will look okay. So I go ahead and put all this down. And I'm like, yeah, kind of looks like rows in a farm, so I'm gonna go ahead and erase everything I just did, immediately. As you guys know, this is kind of how my builds go. They're very freestyled, very random. I just have some reference photos, and then I go for it, but it's okay, because Bones cheers me on the whole time. And here I am, completely editing this wood path that I have leading up to Bones' library. I'm still not 100% sure I'm going to keep it this way. I don't like that it's such harsh angles and then it just goes straight up to a straight right angle. It's too straight for me. So then I go ahead and do this, and I think that this looks a lot better, actually. I like that the rows are going up the way. Rows? Columns? Now I'm just deciding where the different fruit trees are going to go. I think that having them up the way, I'm just going to say up the way instead of rows or columns. I think it makes the build look more elongated. I think it makes it look more impressive and big. And then also when you're standing from the bottom of the fruit orchard, you can see all of the different types of trees. And then Bones and Deirdre decided to have a conversation about Bones coming over for some of her famous cooking. And Deirdre says that she makes hummus with cherry sauce and fried dough. And he's like, maybe I'll rain check you. Which is impressive because Bones seems down to eat nearly everything. So this is the next day, and I'm like, well, what happened here? None of my trees grew. And then I'm like, well, someone's at the campsite. Maybe this will make my day better. And then I'm like, okay, it's time to time travel. Let's just quit this game real quick. So then the next day, I'm like, well, maybe only certain numbers of trees grow a day. Like maybe you can only have 10 trees grow. And then I go into the town hall and I immediately come out because I ignored Bones. I felt so bad. And then all he had for me was a pilot's hat. So, I mean, I'm glad I came out because I felt so bad ignoring him on accident. But a pilot's hat? But, you know, since it's from Bones, I did have to put it on immediately. And then I'm going to the town hall a couple different times to look for the barbed wire fence DIY because I actually hadn't had it yet. And then once I found it, I time traveled forward a month because I'm like, why aren't these trees growing? And then I did some Googling, and it turns out that you have to have a certain amount of space in between trees, which is weird because those corner trees up there grew just fine, but whatever. So I just go ahead and plant these more spaced out, and then I think I time travel forward another month because I just can't be bothered anymore. And then someone's at the campsite again, naturally. And it's tangy, and I was so excited to get tangy because I don't know if you guys have seen, but on Instagram I've been just getting so excited about the Sanrio villagers, and I really, really, really want Chai. So I've already decided that I'm letting go of Mary because Chai is a peppy villager. And you guys have been telling me that Chai in Japanese is Fika. Well, sorry, I said that backwards. Fika in Japanese is Chai, right? It's perfect. I need her. So I'm like, well, Tangy can take Mary's place for now because I had Tangy when I was a kid. She's a super nostalgic character for me. And then she made me work for it. She was like, you're going to play this game 15 times. You keep losing. Just get screwed. I hate you. And then she suggested Chief, so I quit the game. I had already been working on this build for a couple hours now, just faffing about with recipes, items, the trees. So my rule to myself was, if the first person she asks to kick out is Mary, I'll do it. But no, she chose Chief, so I was like, that's fine, I'm gonna get Chai anyways. And here is the completed, for now at least, fruit orchard. And then I'm like, this looks really dumb without having this extra little piece of the path here. So I put that down. This rock was bugging me. And then I get on with building the greenhouse, the actual interesting part of this build. Okay, don't pay attention to this too much. This is just me showing you how indecisive I am. Again, it takes me a while to even figure out where to place these, but I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do a little random, like, you know, dirt and stone path alternating down to my greenhouse. That's cute, right? And I don't use the natural paths in this island very much. Let's give it a go. And as I'm sure you can guess, I changed that quite quickly. So here are the designs that I use for the greenhouse. I like them a lot. The creator code for these will be down in the description box, as always. And then I'm using the same boardwalk path that I used in my lighthouse build for this greenhouse build. And it takes me a while to decide where to put this greenhouse. At first, I decided to have it, you know, down low in this little nook here. And I liked how it looked, but there was no way of getting in or out of it. So it didn't make very much sense, so I started over. And then I moved it up the way a bit, just so that it's flush with the trees. And then I decide that that's probably the best I'm going to be able to do in this little space. It bothers me that it's not in line with that little divot in the lake down there, if you know what I'm saying. But it still looks nice, and that just means that I have to use asymmetry in the rest of the build in order for it to look okay. And I'm quite used to that, because I don't plan any of my builds, so it's fine. And then I end up using the stone custom paths instead, because I think it looks better. So no in-game paths, no vanilla paths for this build, again, apart from the dirt under the trees, of course. Here is just some footage of me being indecisive, incredibly indecisive, about where the plants in my little greenhouse are gonna go. I even put this little stool here, because I want to put some, like, tall trees or lanterns on it. I switched that. Don't worry, everything gets changed. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just let the music play for this part, because I can't even remember what I do and what I change because it's so random. I just do it till I think it looks good. And then I'm pretty sure at that point I decide I'm fairly happy with how the greenhouse itself is looking. As I'm sure you can guess, a couple things get changed, but for the most part it stays the same. And then I decide that since everything is asymmetrical, I can probably fit a little seating arrangement in this tiny little corner near the waterfalls here. So I opt for the white iron garden set because of the cat grass and the white yucca plant. I think I would have preferred to use just terracotta and black detailing in this build, but that wasn't an option for the items that I had in my catalog. And I think the randomness looks quite nice anyways. And here I am, of course, changing up the plants. Yes, that looks so much better. Why couldn't it have just stayed the same? Who knows? I change up the cat grass for like the third time, put a terrarium there instead. And then I'm actually quite happy with how that turned out. I think that having the fragrance sticks and the lantern on the little ironwood table is quite cute. Oh, and of course, as always, please let me know if you have any suggestions. I do feel like my greenhouse ended up a bit empty, and I'm not really sure how to improve that while still having me be able to walk through it and have it still look somewhat put together. And then I go ahead, and since I said that this needs to be asymmetrical because it's out of line in this little divot, I go ahead and put some gardening utensils down here. And then I start putting up the barbed wire fence because I did eventually get that recipe in the Nook Stop. And I'm loving how that looks. So then I put a bush here, a biotrope here, and I think it's looking nice. And then this plant I recycle and end up putting there instead. And no, you cannot sit in those chairs. There's no way of getting to those chairs, but they're there for looks. And then I ended up alternating hedges with the barbed wire fence to make it look a bit more serene. The barbed wire on its own was looking just a bit intense. And I don't want my animals or my villagers to feel like they can't go pick fruit. Like, I don't want the barbed wire to look too aggressive. And then I'm just trying to make the surrounding area look a bit filled out, so I built a silo, I put some fencing here, put the silo right in front of it. I think I add a couple bushes and some flowers. So yeah, pretty happy with how this is looking so far. Just a last couple of custom designs as a finishing touch, a little cypress plant to fill this empty space. Not sure this is going to stay here, but I like it for now. And then that is the final build. Here are some shots of it. Again, very simple, very easy to put together if you want to replicate it. And I'm gonna leave you there. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!